Tuesday the 7th of February 1967, 110 separate fires ravaged southern Tasmania. From Hamilton and Bothwell in the north to the tip of the Channel Country in the south. Agricultural lands in the Derwent Valley and Huon Valley were severely damaged. Fire swept the north and west suburbs of Hobart and the slopes of Mount Wellington. Whole seaside towns along the Derwent estuary and east of Hobart were wiped out. In just 5 hours, over 500,000 acres of southern Tasmania would be destroyed, and 62 people would lose their lives. The penetration of these fires into the urban areas of Hobart was sudden and devastating. The electric power supply was severed, kilometres of telephone lines were destroyed, and the airport was closed by smoke. Communication to northern Tasmania and mainland Australia was cut, leaving Hobart isolated from the outside world. It would be weeks before the full scale of death and destruction was known. These fires caused the largest loss of life and property on any single day in the history of the Australian continent. Mothers and fathers all over Hobart are racing back to their homes. Many can't contact their children. They don't know if they're safe. Traffic, smoke and fire are blocking their path.
I rang Neville and I said, look, there's fires up round home. We better try and do something. So he came to around the corner and he picked me up, and that's when we attempted to get up here.
Yeah, we left the city and decided to head home to Strickland Avenue to pick our daughter up. So we drove up Davey Street to Ewan Road where there was a barricade and was stopped and told we weren't allowed to go through. So we then decided to attempt to go through Strickland Avenue from the Cascade Road, and that was barricaded also and we weren't allowed through. So we then drove back to this spot and decided we'd go through the barricade irrespective, so we drove straight through it.
Neville and Joy make it to the top of Strickland Avenue, but their path is blocked by a fallen tree. Their only option is to reverse back up the road.
When I opened the door to try and see the reverse, flames shot through one side of the car and out the other, because my wife had the other door open as well, trying to guide me.
All the time, the wind's whirling, and then it just opens up, and it's like a orange light would come on. We backed up, and we end up over here somewhere, and there was some blokes not working, they were trying to put out the fires, and we asked them about who got out the avenue, and they said no one.
Back at Margate, things are desperate as workers and residents climb onto boats to escape the flames.
People were coming down the road and coming down onto the wharf. There was a lot of fishing boats at the wharf at the time, and the owners were getting the people to get onto the boats so they could take them out into the middle of the harbour just to make them safe. They didn't know because there was gas and that in the factory that could have exploded. Couldn't do anything with the factory, so we just stayed out in the water and looked on. When we came in from the water, we knew it was safe to come back. There was a small flat tray truck there, so I decided that I'd go for a drive, just see if I could help anyone down at Snug. I drove down there, and it was just an absolute shambles. People were crying and screaming, and if you could see what a B-52 can do to a village, you'd understand what Snug looked like, a wreck.
The period of really dangerous fire behaviour was really quite short. Although these fires had been burning for some time, they really didn't start to move until after 10:30. And then the staggering thing about the fire behaviour was that they'd just about all merged together by 3 o'clock. And in places like down on the Channel, it had come together incredibly quickly, so people had no idea of which fire was burning them or where it was coming from.